Hello, my name is Dr. Barbara Bolden. It is a pleasure to take this opportunity to introduce you to a budding new musical composer and writer, Mr. Francis Ashun. I had the pleasure of meeting and working with Mr. Ashun at the New Jersey Department of Health. Mr. Ashun is a graduate of Lehman College with a degree in community health education. He also holds a master's degree in public health from Hunter College. Beyond the excellent public health work Mr. Ashun does for the state of New Jersey, he is a jazz artist and a writer. He released his first album in 2014 entitled You Are the Love of My Life, which was inspired by his dear wife, Diana. This recording is currently available at Amazon.com. And last year, Mr. Ashun published his first book entitled A Chronicle of the Life of an Immigrant in the United States. Mr. Ashun, as I call him, Francis, is here to share with us more information about his book. Welcome, Francis.
Thank you, Reverend.
To get started, can you tell us what inspired you to write this book?
Well, after having lived in the United States for almost 20 plus years, I finally came to the realization that my chronicle of experience as it relates to my immigrant life in the United States is something I can put together as a story to share with the world. And so with that motivation, then I decided to write my first book.
Thank you. With that in mind, can you share with us what it was like growing up in Ghana back in the 1970s?
Well, life was very good in the sense that it was such a peaceful environment that I was brought up in with my mom and dad. My father was the mechanical engineer for the Astare Sugar Estate company. That's a company that manufactures sugar. And my dad and a few others were the only selected black individuals who were part of the upper managerial hierarchy. And so as a family, we enjoyed a good life. We had our own house that has its own car. We had access to a swimming pool. There was a table tennis and a lawn tennis court. There were transportations, buses readily available for children and the staff of that company. So I can say by every stretch of my human imagination that we had a good life, as a family. But things, took on a different turn though when my father finally left Ghana to look for greener pastures.
Thank you. It did sound like an idyllic upbringing. As a young adult, however, you decided to relocate to the United States. What was that transition like for you?
Well, we received immigrant visa. My dad filed for us to join him here in the U.S. But I had a mixed feeling because I spent my entire life living in Ghana, and all of a sudden I had to consign to oblivion all my friends that I grew up, the culture that I grew up, cherishing so much. So it was a mixed feeling. And then the fear of not knowing how you'll be welcome and here in the United States. Those were some of my valid concerns. But of course, upon arrival, I made a determination to work very hard to assimilate myself into my newfound culture.
Thank you. Speaking of transitions in culture, it was very interesting to read one chapter on hospitality, in which you described the custom of entertaining visitors from Ghana, friends, family, even just friends of friends. Can you tell me what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, that just sounds like a conundrum to a quintessential American or someone from the Western world, but it is an integral part of the Ghanaian culture. It's incumbent upon us to extend hospitality not only to our immediate family members, but by extension to strangers. And I know my wife excels very well in that arena, and that was an area that I had to work very hard to improve on, and she helped me. So yes, it's part of our culture, and I remember ever since we arrived, I came to the United States and I got married. Many friends as well as relatives that we have had to host. They live with us for a prolonged period of time, and it's our responsibility to provide for them food, clothing, shelter. They don't have to pay back. It may sound very, very strange to a foreigner, but that is one aspect of our culture that kind of makes the Ghanaian culture very unique, and by extension other cultures outside the confine of Ghana.
Thank you. What's the one message you hope to be able to convey to the reader of this book?
Well, I guess my experience as an immigrant living here in the United States is nothing different from any of the experiences encountered by multitude of immigrants, but the message, the underlying message, the overriding message in the book is to help immigrants to appreciate that notwithstanding whatever tries or challenges that may knock at their door, that it's within the realm of possibility to always make the best out of whatever situation that present itself, and not to assign or to always allocate blames, to people for maybe your predicament. And that's something that I believe my book really put so much stress on, to make the best out of every situation, and not to always embark on the fault finding expedition, or trying to blame people for your predicament.
Thank you. It sounds like something we can all learn from. And finally, I understand your book's currently available in English as well as Spanish. Do you have any plans to make it more available to other cultures?
Plans are in the works to translate the book into French, and then subsequently thereafter into Portuguese and Italian. So that will be perfected in the not too distant future.
Sounds great. So where can anyone find it now?
So my books are primarily available at Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, and as well as 30 online vendors. So anyone who is interested can access this vendors, and they can have the book, purchase the book online.
Francis, I thank you for joining us today and sharing information about your book. As a reader of the book, I can certainly endorse it. I found it not only informative, it was interesting, and it actually had a bit of humor involved with the book. And so I think you'll find it an excellent read. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, Baba, and I really appreciate the fact that you took time off your busy schedule to be here to help me introduce my book to the public, and I wish you the best in your endeavors.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.